The two ordinary hosts of this podcast are not professionals on parapsychology, extraterrestrials, cryptozoology, nor would they describe themselves as religious or prone to superstition. They'd also like to make it known that this show is not intended for children or those with sensitive sensibilities. Please listen at your own discretion. And remember, the truth is often anecdotal.
Hey everybody, this is Mr. X here. Before we hop into the episode, I just wanted to give a quick apology for not having an episode out last week, but also for the audio quality of this episode. We've been having quite a few technical difficulties, but didn't want to leave you guys hanging twice in a row. So hopefully you still enjoy this one. Mr. R, take it away.
Okay. Historically, humans have always been scared of what they do not understand. This is doubly so when it comes to understanding the subject of women. This was especially true during a point of time known as the early modern era, which fell between the 16th and 17th centuries. During this time, women were blamed for plenty and punished for even more, like crop failure, natural disasters, the death of an infant, or illness in general. And because it was too absurd to consider these things to be God's will, the populations found it easier to point the finger at witchcraft. Any innocent lady, for any ignorant reason, could be accused of being a witch for being outspoken or independent, being poor, being kinda quirky, simply knowing too much, knowing too little, or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. If it disrupted the patriarchal status quo, it was most certainly the fault of a witch, the very subject of today's episode. Hello, listeners. I am Mr. R.
And I'm Mr. X,
Paranormal Dudes,
reading paranormal stories.
Mr. X, how you feel about witches?
I feel like I've watched a lot of Disney Channel original movies that make me feel pretty pro-witch.
Pro-witch. Okay, yeah, no, I dig that. I don't know if your stories involve, like, proper cases of witch encounters or if they involve, like, the practice of witchcraft. I do think the practice of witchcraft is its own episode.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
My stories are more like witch sightings, I guess.
Yes. Okay, good. Off the top here, I do want to say, just to kind of get the mythos out of the way, there was no such thing as witch burning. It didn't exist. That was just kind of made up. We killed a bunch of women throughout history under the excuse of witchcraft, but no one was ever burned at the stake.
Not in the States, I don't think, right?
No.
Yeah. I think they did in, like, Ireland or Sweden, somewhere in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Practice burning people at the stake, but I don't know. We're not experts on this stuff.
No, not experts. Anything to bring up before we start?
No, I think these stories are gonna be fun. Mr. E recommended this subject. We didn't release an episode this past week because of technical issues, as well as just a bunch of other stuff going on. But he he just suggested this out of nowhere, and I kind of want to know why. I feel like he might have some kind of
ties.
Actually, what was it that he said? I think he said he knew a lot of witchy people. He said, I know a few people who are quote unquote witches. So yeah, I guess he does have a connection. We'll see if any of these stories match the kind of people that he knows.
Well, I think it's actually safer to assume that all the stories we're telling, Mr. E has heard and knows them personally.
Yeah, he was very, looking at the script here, he was pretty enthralled by...
Plenty of comments from Mr. E's side.
Also, in search of these stories, obviously we mostly search Reddit, because that's where we can get more personal accounts. I'm sure there are other forums and stuff that we could also use. I haven't found them yet, but...
Yeah, they're definitely out there.
Yeah, the longer this podcast goes, the more we'll probably dive into those. But in looking through these, I found some curious subreddits, some curious witch-themed subreddits, one of which was Christian witches.
Oh.
Yeah, which I was like, I wonder what this is about. It was a pretty boring subreddit. Mostly just...
Well, that's a shame.
I mean, it's what you would think, right? It's like, is being a witch against the Bible? Can I be a Catholic and a witch? Which I would personally say no.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Catholicism is pretty exclusive when it comes to witchcraft.
Yeah. Through all those, though, I stuck to some tried and true subreddits that we've used on this show before to get some stories, and they did not let down. These aren't super wild stories, but I do think they're fun. So if you're ready, I'll just go ahead and jump into my first one.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, this is from the Paranormal subreddit by user SufficientZebra651 3 years ago, titled, Saw a Witch When I Was a Child. When I was 10 years old, I was standing in front of a small bathroom window during broad daylight, and I am convinced I saw a woman on a broom fly up and away in the flash of an eye. I am 30 now. I have never forgotten it. Sometimes I wonder, did I see a bird, some type of animal, or did I see what I thought I did? I'm like, this is crazy. Sounds crazy because it is crazy. Has anyone seen a witch in classic form, or was my 10-year-old self using my imagination? I still remember the bathroom I was in. It was my dad's college roommate who we were visiting on holiday. So from the end of that story, it kind of sounds like this is more of a European kind of vocabulary there with the holiday.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, visiting on holiday.
So I don't know, maybe witches are more prevalent in their classic form in Europe.
That's going to have to be a question for our listeners across the pond. Y'all got witches over there?
Yeah, do witches be European? So there are a few comments, so let's just go ahead and jump right in.
Yeah, there's a lot, so let's, yeah.
This first one from Jizacess goes, when I was younger, around 6 or 7, I was at Elitch's, which is an amusement park. I was on this ride called the Spider, and it was like a spider spinning, not that fast, and moving up and down. I was with my dad, and I remember seeing a woman on a broom in the tree. I told him I saw a witch, but I don't think he believed me, or maybe he told me to ignore it. But I remember seeing someone for a second. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Elitch's.
No, I don't know what that is.
So it's an amusement park, which I think is now owned by Six Flags. In fact, one of the responses to this comment is Elitch's. I remember Elitch's Garden, or Elitch Garden, OG days before Six Flags. There is an Elitch Garden in downtown Denver. I've never been, but it confused the hell out of me because for a long time, I didn't know there was even an amusement park down there, but people would be like, oh yeah, the Six Flags. And I'm like, there's a Six Flags here? And they're like, yeah, it's downtown. So I went on my maps and looked for Six Flags, but all that would pop up was Elitch Gardens. And I'm positive that they own them.
Gotcha.
Which, if you're familiar with Six Flags, because we're from Texas, it's it's very animated themed, right? I mean, They have the Looney Tunes and all that stuff. So maybe this person did, in fact, see a witch in a tree.
See the Looney Tunes witch?
Prop, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is a witch in Looney Tunes, huh?
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. Let's see, the OP did respond to this comment as well. They said, whoa, that gave me chills.
Yeah, very demanding story.
Next comment from Purple Poppy 12345 it simply says, witches don't fly on brooms. Ask any actual witch.
Oh, Purple Poppy, what do you know?
I'm thinking Purple Poppy might be a witch.
Might be.
Although someone, since deleted user, did comment to that, saying, I'm an actual witch, and I do fly on brooms.
Boom, Purple Poppy, suck a dick, sorry.
Yeah, take that. Someone else with the username Priestess of the Moon 87, who I might suspect is also a witch, responded, must be the Red Bull that helps with the flying. All the witchy people I know drink Red Bull for sure.
It's something to be said. If we recognize witches as the ones that do fly on brooms, and we're suggesting that Red Bull has a hand in that, do the brooms have wings?
Oh yeah, are they feeding the Red Bull to the brooms? Or are they
Also,
holding onto a broom as they fly off with their tiny wings?
in media, I am pulling directly from Harry Potter. How come they don't need like a license to fly those things? There's got to be some kind of paperwork, right? Some liability forms you got to fill out before you're allowed to use that.
Well, in the first book, and the only book I remember them doing this in, they have the flying class, right?
Yeah, there's a class.
Yeah, that's how he gets onto the Quidditch team or whatnot. But yeah, that begs the question: is there like a driver's ed version of that, where they have to pass several classes before they get licensed to fly? Because then later in the movie, they all fly brooms, right?
Yeah, like to get to and from. Well, I guess maybe not all the time.
Yeah, because sometimes they use teleportation, but
They use the fireplace. What sends them other places?
yeah, but no, there's definitely like Star Wars-esque broom battles in the sky.
I didn't know where you were going with Star Wars, but yes, you're right.
But yeah, I'd have to imagine. Have you seen Hocus Pocus, right?
Yes.
The original one. Have you seen the sequel that they made?
I haven't seen the sequel.
So the sequel has a fun bit where in the first one, I won't say that I love those movies, but the first one does do something that I really like, and it's the flying effect with the brooms. Like they're clearly on a soundstage on wires, but it looks so stylish.
Yeah.
And in the second movie, there's a bit where they need brooms, and I can't remember if it's all of them or just one. One of them for sure. I think they can't find normal brooms, so they get like Swiffers and a vacuum.
Yeah.
One of them is flying literally on just two Roombas. She's like standing on them.
That's so rad.
Yeah, fun stuff like that. But yeah, you got to wonder if there are witches and they can't fly. Is there some kind of regulation to that? Is the FAA involved, or
it's the witch FAA?
So let's see. The final comment on here, which has a few responses, is a little long. So from Steffi Duh, and it goes, I know you feel like your experience sounds crazy, but I believe you. Children are extremely sensitive to energies, spirits, all things paranormal, really, and an entity can take the shape of something the child is quite familiar with, something their mind may have already experienced in their short years. I saw something quite odd when I was about 4 or 5, and I learned it wasn't the image itself I should read into, but the feelings I had at the time. When you saw the image of the witch, do you remember how it made you feel? What were your initial thoughts, feelings, and emotions? That could possibly tell you a lot more about the energy.
What?
Yeah, sure. I think Steffi Duh might be into some psychotherapy.
Definitely some kind of maybe hallucinogen.
Yeah. OP does respond, saying, I remember I didn't feel the wow feeling because I was thinking it can't be. However, I did not feel anxious or scared, and I would consider myself a scaredy cat. It was more of I just saw a witch, and then I would start thinking and doubting what I saw, which is fair.
Second guessing yourself, I think, is a pretty good move.
Well, what do you think they might have seen outside of a bathroom window? Now you got to remember, bathroom windows usually aren't like level with you. They're usually like a little bit higher. So
right,
they're a child, so they'd be looking up anyways.
A lot of windows. I don't know how old this person is. It said they were 30. A lot of windows are opaque, right? They kind of have a fog to them in the bathroom. That is to deter creepy sneakers trying to get a peek at your bits. I don't know what they could have saw, but the previous comment is like it's less about what you did see, or it's more about what you were feeling at the time. I don't know. Maybe the kid saw something like actually incredible, and like his closest proxy to an explanation was a witch. Maybe he saw someone jump off the roof and was like, and his child brain was like, fantasy.
That's pretty dark there.
Sorry about that. Or it was a witch.
Well, can we consider that all of these sightings, including the one at Eaglich Gardens, it just happens to be around October, and there's a lot of Halloween decorations and
yeah, sure.
yeah, maybe they just saw something flying through the wind that blew off of somebody's house, you know?
Have you ever seen that video of, I think it's like Mario or it's Spider-Man or something, but it's a helium balloon that escaped a party, and it like
Oh, yeah.
it lands down in someone's backyard. I think helium balloons, I think they have a lot of the blame when it comes to people seeing stuff in the sky.
So maybe it was just a balloon, right? And the balloon is the same color as the sky, but there's just a picture of a witch on it, like a little silhouette of a woman on a broom.
Sure. Yeah.
Flew by. Maybe someone was having a witch-themed birthday party. You know, you can never discount that. I'm sure there's little kids who like witches. I don't know. So I was gonna skip this the second half of Steffi Does.
It's another long comment.
But it looks like there might be some interesting stuff in here. So I'll go ahead and read it. That's really interesting. It tells me that the image you saw was not meant at all to frighten you. It was meant to excite you and entice your curiosity, like a balloon. The feeling you describe when you say it can't be, this feeling is very similar to a wow feeling. Different, but similar, if that makes sense. Your experience helped you to open your mind to wild possibilities of life. You give you glimpse into another realm. What? How are those correlated? This encounter occurred decades ago, and you still feel the power it gave you, the overwhelming feeling of awe and wonder. The mistake a lot of us make sometimes with these intense experiences is trying to figure out exactly what it was we saw rather than just looking at how the experience may have changed us and made us feel. You forever have a story to tell that is quite unique and meaningful. My advice to you is try to trust your instincts more and have faith in yourself. Much love. Okay, I mean,
yeah, pretty
sure.
uplifting.
That middle bit there was a little confusing, but
it got confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good advice nonetheless. Just trust your feelings. Let that guide you through life. I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what to take from that. The OP did respond.
Yeah.
They simply just said, "Thank you for your response. I really like your insight. Really deep. I'm gonna read it a few times and definitely think about and work through how I felt."
They're gonna read it a few times because it was confusing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna stick to the balloon theory.
Balloon theory is a good theory. Honestly, I feel like a lot of these stories can be answered with balloon.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the stories that we've covered on this podcast can be answered.
Period.
With balloon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the image though of a little child in the bathroom, whether they're standing or sitting, and they just kind of glimpse out the window, and a little balloon flies by, and for the rest of their life, it
was a witch.
They saw a witch. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on.
Hey, moving on.
See what you got to bring to the table.
So pretty familiar Reddit here, subreddit I should say, under r/paranormal by user _this_wasn't_taken_. Oh no, this wasn't taken as of 6 years ago. I was gonna say this wasn't taken 6 years ago. My bad. The title is My Great Grandfather's Encounter with a Witch. I should say here, I think both of my stories are secondhand. No, never mind. No, they're not. But this first one, My Great Grandfather's Encounter with a Witch, this is a retelling of a story that this person already heard.
Okay.
Yeah. So this story is about early 1930s time. He, my great-grandfather, was living in India, which was still under British rule. He was from a poor family. Having a motor vehicle was not even an option for him. Also, it was just for rich people back then. So he used to travel to nearby places on horses. One day, he went to meet his friend, and it got a little late by the time he was coming back. It was around evening, and while returning, he decided to take a short route through the jungle instead of going through the road, which takes almost double the time. So on the way, he saw a little goat just abandoned, sitting beside a tree, and thought it might have lost its way and decided to bring it along and leave it out of the jungle. I'm not sure if they meant leave it or lead it out of the jungle.
Probably lead it.
Yeah. He got off and picked it up and put it on the back of his horse. Just when he himself was about to sit, he noticed something weird. The horns and feet of the goat were facing the opposite direction. Quickly, under fear, he pushed the goat down and climbed up the horse to make a run out of the jungle. He started chanting a prayer to his, quote, guru. He was of Sikh religion. Just as the horse started moving, he heard a female voice from behind. "Your prayer saved you today, but I don't know how you'll get away next time." As he turned back, he saw a woman standing instead of the goat, just staring with eyes wide open. This is a true story, so it creeps me out even though jungles like those don't exist in the modern world. The incident is really creepy.
Wow, I like the fact that the witch was like, you got me. It's like swipe or no swiping, right?
Yeah, it is very Saturday morning cartoon villain.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you prayed.
You prayed too quickly.
You got me. Yeah.
I like but I don't know how you'll be able to I don't know how you'll get away next time.
Probably with another prayer.
Hey, if praying works, lady, that's what I'm gonna be doing.
Yeah.
I also like the jungles like these don't exist in the modern world.
Which one? Like, which one?
Right. Like in India?
Which I'm pretty sure is still
Plenty of jungles out there.
It's one of the most densely populated countries in the world. I think number 2, but I'm sure there's still like vast amounts of at least brush, like trees.
Some like between the civilization.
Yeah.
Let's see some of the comments we got here. Comment number 1, user ethereal 11111, 6 years ago. Maybe I don't know this word. Churail?
Churail.
Churail. You want to look that up real quick?
Yeah.
Maybe a churail. Not necessarily a witch. Nice story anyway. In India, one demon/ghosts usually have their feet backwards, with the heel where the toes should be. Oh, the image of that is discomforting to me.
If I look up this word, it just comes up with a little web series. I'm not 100% sure.
OP responded to that, said, indeed a churail, but not many Indians here, for I converted it to witch so others can understand. Oh.
So maybe there's just something similar.
Yeah. Deleted user also commented on that thread that said, that's understandable. Please don't give witches a bad name. There are many modern witches that exist and are real people. I promise. We're nothing like the green storybook characters that ride on broomsticks and make your husband into a toad. We just have an appreciation and connection to nature.
What is that from?
I'm actually not sure. I mean, turning people into animals, I feel, is pretty common. Sure.
Are they referencing like Shrek or something?
Maybe.
Well, that couldn't be because
that was a fairy.
And he was already a toad that was turned into a prince. So
right.
Anyways.
Comment number 2 from user GrayWitch21. My mother-in-law told me a very creepy story. She lived in the Sahara Desert. When she was very young and newly married, she went down to the bathing area for women. It is surrounded by palm trees in the Corbielle of the village. It was very early in the morning and misty, and she was washing herself in the pool. She became aware that she wasn't alone. A few minutes went by, and she was trying to rush as everything had suddenly gone quiet and claustrophobic. Then she felt something hard placed on both of her shoulders. It's never a good sign. Reaching up to see what it was, turned her head, she saw hooves reaching up out of the water, trying to climb onto her shoulders. She skigaggled. She ski-gaddled out of there about 90 miles an hour. When she told her mom and the other female relatives, they said it was a well-known spirit. She told me this by a campfire really late at night.
What spirit?
Yeah, tell us more. OP responded and said, that's weird. What a pervert spirit, LOL. Lastly, comment number 3 is from user Kenlin. So what happened to him the next? Wait. So what happened to him the next time? This is back to him seeing a goat that turned into a lady.
Oh, okay.
So what happened to him next time? The OP says, I wasn't told any other story, so probably nothing, I guess. Nothing, I assume. He probably never went into that jungle again. A good call.
Yeah, that's 1930s too. Hey, this is probably going to be the spooky. Well, no, my next story is pretty similar to this, I guess. My next story, I have high doubts. I am mostly going to attribute it to like a child's imagination, but yeah, it's kind of similar. I do think the imagery in this story is very funny, and of course, your prayer saved you. But
I just imagine like a crone shaking her fist, right? Like down the street with her weird feet.
But also, I want to know, right, the feet. How do you know it wasn't just a poor mutilated goat? Like the goat just had backwards feet, and you literally knock it off your horse and ditch it.
Yeah, this disabled goat is the victim here.
This disabled talking goat that can turn into a woman. Anyways, my next story here is also from the paranormal subreddit. They had some juicy stuff on this subject. It's titled, Did I Meet a Dark Witch? Posted by Jazz Like Service 284 a year ago. And it goes, Hi everyone, I'm not quite sure if this is the right place to post this, but I just remembered an encounter that I had when I was a little child, and I thought how, to this day, I can't really explain it. I probably can. Let's see. Back when I was about 7 years old, keep that age in mind. Back when I was about 7 years old, I was taking a walk through the woods with my parents. If I remember correctly, we came across a diner or a restaurant of some sort, in the middle of the woods, mind you. I can't really tell why, but I recall that I was walking ahead and just exploring the forest surrounding the restaurant a bit. All of a sudden, I realized that a few feet away, there was an elderly-looking woman standing close to the path that would lead deeper into the woods.
Okay.
She was wearing a black cloak and a hood on her head, and holding a walking stick in one of her hands. I somehow felt drawn to her and was slowly approaching her. I would even go as far as to say that she was actually waving her hand at me and luring me in, so to speak. The woman was very tranquil and didn't speak too much, but she wanted to give me something out of a bag she was carrying with her. As soon as I reached out to her hand, my parents did catch up to me and were yelling at me to stay away. It felt like I was pulled out of a dream or trance-like state when I heard my mother's voice. I turned to my parents, turned back to the elderly woman who was smiling and now slowly making her way into the forest. And I turned back to my parents again. For one last time, I was trying to catch a glimpse of the woman, but to my surprise, she was gone. As if she vanished completely or ran into the woods, pedal to the metal.
Insert a guitar riff.
Of course, I was young and could be reading way too much into it, but did anyone experience something similar before? My mother said something about dark witches and that woman could have been one, but I'm not sure if she only tried to explain to me why I shouldn't talk to strangers in the middle of the forest. Anyways, DP, you all think about this. What?
Anyway, what do you...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to correct a lot of grammar in this, but I guess I didn't get to that. Anyway, what do y'all think about this?
I don't like it.
Right away here, I'm going to post something in... Well, I'm going to post it in media here.
Okay.
Okay. Does that look familiar to you?
That's from Snow White.
Yes. And it's almost quite literally what this user described, right? An old woman in a black cloak, literally waving their hand, trying to give Snow White something, right?
Yeah.
This person was 7 at the time, and I'm guessing probably watched Snow White at some point. Maybe very fresh in their mind. It could also have been a stranger in the woods, I guess. Why they'd be wearing it. And maybe they didn't look anything like she thought, right? Maybe it was just some poor woman living out of the forest who was like, hey kid, come over here. And her mom was like, hey, that could have been a witch or something, to kind of explain it to a child, right?
Sure.
They just created this image in their head and it's never left. But let's see what some commenters have to say. Sad Cable 2163 said, as a witch, I have no idea why we're still called dark witches, as if darkness is evil by default. Anyway, assuming this witch or entity did have malicious intentions, it felt drawn to you and it tried to lure you in with something. For witches, we know not to take gifts that easily, depending on who it comes from. That item she wanted to give you could have been a way to track you, literally through technology or metaphorically through witchcraft, etc. Honestly, I would assume this was just a weird person trying to grab a kid. Yeah.
Definitely possible.
OP does respond saying, that's probably the most likely explanation. But yes, I can understand what you mean. I was brought up with understanding that so-called white witches simply have better intentions than so-called dark witches, though I'm also not sure if these types of categorizations actually apply. All in all, it was probably for the best that I didn't follow that woman. No shit.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is so important to remember, no matter what story you're listening to or that you read online, don't approach someone like that ever.
Huh. So interestingly enough, this next comment literally asks, in which U.S. state or country did this occur? To which the OP says it occurred in Germany. So,
Oh man.
yeah, a lot of European witches. I guess witches do be European.
Look, I don't want to say anything, negative about Europe, but like Europe is so full of this I'm going to say these words and take them how you will. It's so full of old that the idea of things like witches existing is so much more real to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it does explain the whole like dark witch, light or white witch, whatever. Yeah, white witch, dark witch. Because they have so much more lore about this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like in the U.S., all we have is like, oh, they they
got a
burn
leprechaun.
innocent people, and then yeah, in Alabama they got leprechauns. But yeah, it's just I don't know. And the Americas are just as old as Europe. They just weren't coming up with this kind of shit. They had their own lore and stuff. But see, there's actually quite a long thread with this question here. So they said it occurred in Germany. And the same commenter who asked, Joset22, continues with, so I believe it may have been a shape-shifting mimic called a crawler. You got that from saying it was in Germany? Don't crawlers exist everywhere? Anyways, trying to lure you to where it wanted you to go. They do this every chance they get. They try to lure people down a path or to an area. I truly believe they try to lure them into a location where they can be thrown into an alternate dimension.
Whoa.
Never to be seen again. Oh man, maybe that's the oh my god, what is that theory? The people who disappear in national forests.
Oh.
So people just disappear in the blink of an eye in national forests. And there's a phrase for it. The missing 411. Yeah, so maybe this is what the missing 411 is. It's these crawlers just luring people away and disappearing. Seems a little insensitive to kind of put this kind of theory onto such a serious and real thing, right? But let's see. Someone else pitched in. The alternate dimensions thing is throwing me though. Let's see. Few marsupials 7100 chimed in with, hey, I've seen you misidentify things as crawlers in so many posts. Okay. Hey, I've seen you misidentify things as crawlers in so many posts, and I wish you would stop because you're crying wolf and taking away from the validity of crawlers. People already don't take them seriously, and I've seen you say literally anything as a crawler across several subs, and you should know you're making people take them even less seriously. Mr. E, wow, thanks for
yes, we never would have came across this
little beef. Someone else. The OP responded with, "What exactly would a crawler be, and where would they stem from?" I never thought about that to be an option, but considering it was a very strange event and felt pretty weird, who knows? To which Josette22 responds, "If you'd like to learn more about crawlers, you can go to my profile and click on the post at the top titled Ghouls."
I do really enjoy that, like, within the scope of Reddit, Josette22 is a fiend for crawlers.
So, what I find this even more funny because this crawler comment came out of nowhere, right? They're like, "Where did this occur in the no, they say in which U.S. state or country did this occur?" And I'm positive whatever OP would have answered, they would have gone with crawler, right?
Yes.
It was in Utah, crawler. It was in Iraq, crawler.
Definitely a crawler. One of them classic desert crawlers.
And the fact that their theory is that they're pulling him into alternate dimensions.
And if it's true, what were you saying?
Well, I'm just gonna say we'll have to do a whole episode just on Josette22 here.
That would be, oh my gosh. Could you imagine a podcast where we just comb through people's Reddits?
Oh, that could be a violation of privacy, but it is all public. So.
Yeah, it's all public.
All right, let me get on to this last comment, and then we'll go to your last story here.
Okay.
From Baruto Sandblunts. Says, "I wish I could meet a dark witch." Hard eyes emoji. Okay.
Yeah.
Like exactly as this person described it, like the Snow White witch, or
yeah, you want to meet like an old kind of warty crone that's beckoning you into a forest.
And maybe this guy has a fetish. Who knows?
Oh.
All right, let's go on to your last story here.
You read Baruto Sand Blunts? I think it's supposed to be burritos and blunts.
Yeah, but it's Baruto.
It is Baruto.
Yeah, they didn't put an I in there. They could have put a capital L or a lowercase L,
or an exclamation point.
So I read it the way that I read it. Deal with it.
And I'm let's see. Last story here was posted in r/supernatural encounters by user justkitten9289 as of 1 year ago. The title is, "Am I Weird or a Witch?"
I've never even come across this subreddit before. That's something I'll have to look into.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff. Since I was a kid, I heard stories of things my grandmother and her family did to her. As far as I know, they used to take her to the beach with their covenant, I guess. My grandmother would get possessed. I saw a couple of times when it happened. Since then, I have a fear of that happening to me. Every time I cried or get upset, it rains. Oh, every time I cried or get upset, it rains or storms. Every time I make a comment to someone about the weather, it hasn't rained or snow boom.
Every time I make a comment to someone about the weather, it hasn't rained or snow boom the next day.
I see. Every time I make a comment to someone about the weather, it hasn't rained or snowed, boom, the next day it happens. Even though the Weather Channel was clear for the whole week. Dreams that I have come true, so I decide to ignore them or avoid things from happening, or in the way you acted to it didn't come true.
Or the way I acted, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I used to see ghosts like a lot felt them to one lay next to me and didn't let me move when I was 11.
Okay, hold on.
I'm having a hard time.
Let's try to break that down. I used to see ghosts like a
lot.
Felt them too. One laid next to me and didn't let me move when I was 11. Okay.
Thank you for clearing that up for me. I have weird moments my whole life. My boyfriend of 4 years used to be like, "OMG, you are lying or crazy." But now he's like, "You mentioned something and it happened? It's weird. What's wrong with me? Help. Am I crazy? It is just weird.
Is it just weird?
Yeah. Is it just weird?
Oh, man.
So aside from the grammar This person witnessed her grandmother get possessed, or their grandmother get possessed at a beach.
Their grandmother told stories of being possessed by a coven on the beach. I don't think this girl ever experienced any of that. But
it says, I saw a couple of times when it happened.
Since then, I have a fear. Hold on. And my grandmother would get possessed. I saw a couple of times when it happened. Oh, so maybe she didn't see the coven rituals, but maybe she just saw her grandmother probably having a seizure or some shit.
Very similar to being possessed, yes.
Yeah, assume that they were possessed.
Mr. E has posted some comments here. Comment number 1 from Witchy for Days. Hey, super appropriate name. Not weird at all. Come on, don't. You can't reinforce this. Not weird at all. Sounds like you have some gifts. No need to be afraid. Just explore, read, research, and maybe find someone in your area who shares the same interests. Enjoy it. Once you figure out what your strengths are and get the hang of them, they can be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Witchy for Days is a door-to-door witchcraft salesman. Let's see, Just Kitten 29. Oh, sorry, the original poster answered back and said, I'm scared of what is. Nope, I'm scared of what it is. I'm scared of what if it is real and I'm not good.
Okay, so I think we're just gonna have to break down everything she says.
Yeah.
What she's saying here is that she's scared it might be real, and that she might not be good at it.
Oh, she's okay. Yes. So if the witchcraft she thinks she's experiencing is reality, she is also worried that she won't be qualified to continue researching it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we all have our quirks. Let's see. Witchy for Days says it doesn't really work that way, but if you do some studying into it, you'll have a better understanding. I felt guilt for years after being raised in a strict church and family. I got over that fear, and you'll get over yours too if you choose. So, I mean, that's pretty uplifting, trying to make someone feel a bit more normal about their situation.
I mean, I guess especially if it's real.
Especially if it's real. However, I think it's kind of a power that you could. It is suggested that every time she makes a comment about how it hasn't rained or snowed in a while, that the next day it happens. That is so useful in some areas.
Yeah, we live in Colorado, where it doesn't matter what the weather channel or the weather apps say, the weather's going to do something different.
Yep.
Said it was going to be clear skies all last week, and I'm pretty sure it snowed at some point, or maybe it was the week before. I don't know how many people in Colorado are listening to this, but yeah, every time I look at the weather and it says it's going to be sunny for a whole week straight, snow happens somewhere in the middle of the week.
Yeah, has to.
Yes. It's always after a comment like, oh, it hasn't snowed in a while. Hope that doesn't happen again. And then it does.
Oh no, maybe OP lives in Colorado. Second comment that Mr. E posted was from My Silent Art. Nope, that says My Silent Amy. Says, no fear. You are not a witch. She was not dark. She was used if you allow fear to take you. These things will get a better hold on you. I am an exorcist. Reach out if you need help. This goes for anyone. The world is on fire. Be strong. No fear, no guilt.
What?
Hey, My Silent Amy, you're bringing the mood down.
The username made it seem like, hey, maybe this person is chill. Person's not chill.
Not chill. I'm an exorcist.
Are you now? I'm pretty sure you have to be like an ordained.
Priest. Yes.
Which from your username, I'm guessing your name is Amy, and
probably
you wouldn't qualify. So
I don't know with the name Amy.
The way this comment is written too, it sounds like one of those African preachers who like you'll see occasionally on like YouTube and stuff, and they talk very cryptic and rhythmically like this.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So some good comments on this week, Mr. E.
Absolutely. Yeah, terrific work. The last comment on here is from Oh God, Yu Yu Hakusho fan. Oh,
Sure.
I think I said that right. Yu Yu Hakusho fan. Please send some snow to my area. Which, yeah, no, we discussed that. It would be very useful, especially in like California. All those fires. Just go there, mention how I haven't had rain in a while, then you're set.
I do see that you posted something.
Yes.
Oh, it's some Ask. Well, before we get into Ask, I have something to post real quick. I'm going to post it in the media channel. I have one more little story that I want you to read. So,
Oh, boy.
I think it should have uploaded. Yeah, there we go. It's a screenshot, so it's pretty short.
Okay. It's in the media channel. This was in Paranormal Encounters. Did you just find this?
No, this is, I think, the first story that I found, but it was not readable. So I was like,
okay.
That last story we had with the no punctuation, I'll have you try to read this one. Can you see it?
Okay. Yeah, I can see it. It's fine.
Okay, cool.
In r/paranormal encounters, as of 183 days ago, I guess, by the user Calucaisius, I think, maybe, titled Black Cat / Witch. I'm going to read this verbatim. I'm not going to try to ad-lib or editorialize.
Yeah.
So there was this black cat, and it stares at us at night. I've never seen it in our neighborhood, but it like stares sitting facing my house out our front yard or across the street in this like walkway to darkness. But like it's like always facing our house, just staring, and we have dogs, so why would it come over? It only comes at night wondering if it is a witch or something. I'm native, and we believe that witches or shamans take form in animals to hunt or stalk, etc. So it's kind of creepy, especially when our dog only barks at that front window where it stares, even if the blinds are closed. And there's a comment that says, that's just normal cat behavior, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the idea that this person just really doesn't like cats, and they're like, why the fuck is this cat just chilling outside our house?
What do you want?
At us. Yeah.
This cat's staring me down and wants to fight me, I think. I think this cat's a witch.
So, when we lived in Colorado Springs, I would walk the neighborhood a lot. We had like a little park with a little path and stuff.
Yeah.
So many times I had cats come up to me, just random neighborhood cats, just walk up to me. Never once did I think they were a witch.
No, but maybe you should have.
The cat witch gets me. They get me.
And that's how we lost Mr. X.
Yeah, or maybe I am the cat witch. You'll never know. Okay, let's get into these Ask X.
Okay.
Posted 3 here. You posted 3 here. This first one from Wickham12, posted a year ago. Says, if you were around during the witch trials, what would you have been killed for? Well, probably my skin color.
Skin color is a big one, I think, for this. Yeah. But
2,000 comments on here. And I'm sure a lot of it is being a woman or being a different race.
Right. Or like knowing math.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just agreeing with you. If skin color was no factor, are there any qualities about you that you think someone in the 16th century would want you dead for?
Well, I do have some pretty anarchist-leaning viewpoints. So, maybe. Maybe just my hatred for authority would have gotten me killed pretty quick.
Yeah, man. Historically, that would have definitely done it.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next one from Taco Pals. This is 3 years ago. Holy shit, it has 10K comments. So.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Let's see. You've been cursed by a witch to say only one short phrase for the rest of your life, but you get to choose what it is. What is your phrase? Huh. You know what? This is going to be a callback to a previous episode, the disembodied voices. But I'd probably still stick with forget about it.
Forget about it? I knew it. The second I picked that one, I was like, it's going to be a forget about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it's so useful. You can use it in any... Someone wants you to do something, forget about it. Someone wants to invite you somewhere, forget about it. You your mom wants you to go to a family member's funeral, forget about it. So, the last one here, from Arthritis,
Sure.
Treaties, sorry, from a Treaties 4 years ago. This one only has 34 comments, so I feel like it's probably not as good. If two witches were watching two watches, which witch would watch which watch? Were you trying to get me there?
I was trying to get you there, yes.
I don't know. Let's see. If two witches were watching two watches, which witch would watch which watch? Probably whichever watch is associated to that witch.
So whichever watch that witch brought.
Yes, whichever watch is on that witch's wrist.
Wrist. Ooh.
All right. Yeah, I think that's everything. This was a pretty straightforward episode. I think it was pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely so.
I think these are some of the funnest comments we've had so far.
Yeah, Mr. E's doing a pretty good job. I was realizing during this episode that you and Mr. E kind of have a word associated with the names we give you. Like, Mr. X sounds like misdirects. Right? And Mr. E sounds like mystery.
And Mr. R sounds like Mr.
Mr. R.
Yeah, you're pretty into pirates, I was going to say.
Yeah, that is true.
So that's how you should start introducing yourself.
I'm Mr. R.
Yeah, we'll establish lore right here. And anyone who joins this podcast after this episode will be like, why he said it like that. And then eventually they'll have to go back enough to this episode to get the full details.
I dread to think that, like, oh, here we are. If we get in like 800 episodes, and then by the very end we forget why the lore was established. All right, that's going to have to do it for this witch-themed episode. If you have any supernatural stories of your own, you can submit them to us for this show in the comments below, if you like, or on our Reddit. It says PONDPOD.
Yeah, so until next time, we've been a Paranormal Dudes, ever in need of stories to intrigue, perplex, maybe even frighten. So remember, if you can't explain it, it was probably a balloon. But, post about it anyways, and then we'll see you guys next week. So stay tuned and stay haunted.
Give me a good witch laugh.
That was really bad.
That was terrific. I loved it.